Hello, everyone. This is Tommy at World at War Comics. We have another amazing guest for you today. But before we get into that, please make sure that you give us a like. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Obviously, that helps the channel a lot. It also allows us to let you know when we have new interviews and other forms of media dropping. So give us a like and a subscribe. And remember, all our podcasts are brought to you by Cien Chilies. That's cienchiles.com, the best hot sauce you could buy. CIENCHILES.com. Use comics at checkout and save 15%. I use it constantly. I know you're going to love Cien Chilies. It is amazing. All right, without further ado, today we are speaking with the one and only Robert Geronimo. He is the writer, creator, and artist on Blood Realm, an amazing fantasy series that I think you're going to love. It is brought to you by Alterna Comics. That's why I got my shirt on today. But yeah, man, he's been doing this for the last couple years. A great series. Can't wait for you to dig into it. In fact, if you follow me on Instagram, TikTok, we're actually going to have a giveaway where we will give away issue 1 and 2 so you could get into the series and you can find out how amazing it is for yourself. All right, everybody, without further ado, here's Geronimo and I. Thanks, everybody. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the World at War Comics podcast. Today, my special guest is Mr. Robert Geronimo. Geronimo, thanks for joining, man. Been wanting to get you on for a while. I feel like I've had the entire team from Alterna on, and I don't know why I haven't been able to get you on, but man, I'm glad that we finally made contact. And of course, you were so awesome and so kind to be able to jump on. So we appreciate it, man. Big fan of your work.
Oh, thank you. I am thrilled to be here. So yeah, you were missing the one important piece of the
exactly.
crew.
Exactly, man.
Now it's complete. Now it's complete.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like you have the longest running comic with Alterna right now as far as active writers, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You have it came out on a Wednesday, and
Yep.
Blood Realm, I would say,
That's true.
two. But that's but I'm the single creator. In terms of single creator comic, it would be Blood Realm.
Yeah. And now, are you doing any writing for it came out on a Wednesday as well? Because I know it's kind of a team effort and a lot of people come in and out of that, right?
I had something in like some of the first issues,
Okay.
but lately I just haven't had time,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Blood Realm's taken over my whole entire life, which I can't complain. I can't complain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's absolutely amazing. I don't think people realize if you have been able to pick up Blood Realm and check it out, Geronimo. I mean, you're the writer, the
Yeah,
creator, the
yeah,
artist, the
everything.
letterer. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you got to probably be pretty, at least a few months ahead of schedule, right? Because that's a lot of responsibility to take within one issue.
It
Yeah.
is. It really is. And now for the newer ones, I've been getting some guest artists to tell some short stories to kind of fill
Awesome.
in the blanks of certain stuff, because
Yeah.
it's a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
It's a huge undertaking, but I love it, and I get to choose certain artists that whose style kind of fit the story in this
Yeah.
particular period, whether it's the future part of Blood Realm or the past part of Blood Realm. So that's
Yeah.
a fun thing to do.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I would think that would be pretty awesome. I'm sure there's a lot of artists that want to jump in too, especially if they've read it and kind of got
Oh,
into it. Man,
sure.
it's
That'd be nice.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, let's kind of go way back a little bit, Geronimo, because we'll definitely get into Blood Realm. But I would love to know, how did you get into comics? I mean, when did the
Hmm.
passion for comic books start in your life?
Yeah, so it started when I was a kid,
Yeah,
and seeing comics, these pictures with moving images, because that's what they are. Comics are moving images
for
at the end
sure.
of the day.
Yeah,
And you have these titanic, right? They're almost like Titan-like heroes, Greek mythology type builds, battling monsters. The thing is about comics is that it felt like anything was possible. There wasn't some kind of movie budget that no matter what, any kind of story, you could find any kind of story in them. And it felt like the possibilities were endless. And it was really up to either the artist or writer's capabilities. And that was it. And so incredibly inspiring for me. And I knew I wanted to do this stuff. I knew it. And my first comic was actually bought by my mother for me because she was a huge Superman fan.
Oh, how
Huge.
cool.
And she loved the dynamic between Superman and Lois Lane. She just loved all that stuff. So I remember she got me my first comic when we were in the grocery store when I was young, trying to keep me quiet. And I remember I was blown away, loved it. It
Yeah.
worked. And then when I found out there were shops dedicated to this stuff when I was young, I was going to live there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because then there were genres
Yeah,
of movies, but then you have horror,
yeah.
you have dark fantasy, you have superhero, and I felt like my mind, everything was just literally blown,
Yeah.
and that was it. I knew I wanted to work in this medium, and that was it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you must have been captured by dark fantasy and thriller, because I'm
Yes.
getting those vibes from Blood Realm a little bit.
I wasn't allowed though
Yeah,
when I was young to have
for
those.
sure. Yeah,
But whenever I was there at the comic shop, I was always like Hellblazer was always pulling me, John Constantine, those covers, and I was always like, uh, the Superman's cool, but that looks cooler, and it's like, no, no,
yeah.
no. And I'd be like, so
Yeah.
what ended up happening was my cousin, who was much older than me, he had a gigantic box of comics that he was like, I'm moving, I don't really have any need for this anymore. It served me well. Wasn't even going to sell them. He goes, do you want them?
Yeah.
And it was like Christmas for me. It was like the greatest gift. And for
Yeah.
him, he was just being like, hey, you want my comics?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
me, I was like, are you sure?
Yeah.
After that moment, every genre, everything was in there. He collected everything. Conan the Barbarian,
Yeah.
Cole the Conqueror, all that stuff. And that was it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was it for me. Hellblazer was in there. I finally got my Hellblazer Aliens comics. And then there was Predator Cold War. That blew
Yeah.
my mind. That blew my mind. And I just loved it. And I
That's
loved it. And the way
awesome,
the
man.
art was, and so many
Yeah.
different styles, And then slowly I got introduced in my high school years to Frank Miller.
Yeah.
And I always gravitated to the creators who drew and wrote their own stuff
Okay.
because that's
Yeah.
something I wanted to do. You
Yeah.
know, they had their style. It was a Frank Miller drawing and it was a Frank Miller story.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you
That's
felt
awesome.
that, you felt the creative vision,
For sure.
and that was it.
Now, what passion started first? Once you got into comics, once you knew you wanted to be here,
Mm,
once you knew the genre you wanted to dive into,
sure.
did writing become a passion or did art become a passion?
Oh, yeah, it's a great question. I was always drawing first, and
Hmm.
then I would write the stories. And it's funny, that's how I actually work still, which is funny thinking
So
about
you
it.
draw first and then write the story to the drawing?
Yeah, so I'll have the
Interesting.
outline of what the story is going to be. I have the story beats and the
Yeah.
specific lines I really like. I'll write them
Right.
down on the side.
Yeah.
But I feel because it's a medium of imagery.
Yeah.
I feel like it's important for the words to serve the art, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then otherwise, if it's the opposite way, sometimes you could have words that are just repeating what you see in the drawing.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
gets redundant. Because
Hmm.
the image needs to tell some of that story as well and let that do its thing.
Hmm.
So
Good
that's how
point.
I tend to work.
Yeah.
But what's funny is that I used to think there was a period where I was like, well, I have to pick one. I have to
Yeah.
pick one. Am I
Yeah.
an artist? Am I a
Yeah.
writer? Am I an artist or a writer? And
Yeah.
then I still slowly started to realize, like, wait a minute, comics are both.
Yeah.
Why am I picking? Why am I picking?
Yeah.
That's it. Let me do everything. I won't sleep. Who needs to sleep?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as a creator of your own comic, I would
Mhm.
think that's a little less expensive if you have that skill set to do both too.
It is.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
is. It's time consuming, but
Time,
of
yeah.
course, yes, it is less expensive.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's expensive creating your own comic, man. I don't know how so many people are into it because you want to do right by the artist because to your point, the art has to tell a large portion of that story.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of conversation with creators, and that dance between writer and
Hmm.
artist is so unique.
Yeah.
Um, and you really have to be kind of on that same wavelength. So the artist really
100%.
needs to understand what you're trying to portray within your story. I assume it's easier since you're both the writer and the artist, but I'm wondering if there's any differences. Obviously, the dance is
Mm.
with yourself, right? And so,
Sure.
and now that you kind of write an outline, you do the art, and then you go back
Hmm.
and you add the words. Do you
Right.
think that makes it a little bit easier, or are there their own unique things that make it a little bit challenging doing both sides on your own?
That's a great question. There are sometimes challenges because what will happen is as I draw,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden a new story idea will come. And I'm like, oh, that's stuff that lucky thing I didn't write everything down and be
Yeah,
committed to that outline because now this line I just made, the way I drew this,
yeah,
now I could branch off to another little scene.
yeah, yeah,
And you have to play the balance though of controlling yourself
yeah.
sometimes
I mean, you could
because
never get done with an issue, right?
that's right. So that is why I like page restrictions.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm always asking Pete, hey, just remind me how many pages I can do
yeah,
because
yeah,
he's like, only this? Just stay under this? Okay, all right, good.
yeah,
That forces me to rein it in and
yeah,
just tell a concise story. Because otherwise, when you're your own creator, you can really go off
yeah,
on a whole thing,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
So
yeah.
the restrictions help.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I would think so. I think those restrictions would be really important because I could
Mm.
imagine, to your point, right, as you're doing it, you're always thinking of like, oh man, if I did this, it would be even better. Like
Yep.
where is that ceiling, and who's controlling Geronimo in that situation,
Yes.
right? So do you
Yes.
have people around you where you kind of, and maybe it is Pete or maybe it's Wes or some of the other guys
Hmm.
in the
Sure.
team? Are you like, hey, can you read this? Because I'm thinking of another idea, but maybe it's okay the way it is, just so you don't
Yeah.
get into that. And probably, I mean, you've been doing it long enough to where you probably can
Hmm.
control yourself, I would assume. But at the
Right.
beginning, I would think that that would be really hard to manage your time because of that feeling.
Oh yeah, I have two people
Yeah,
that are just people who just read
yeah,
and I say, okay, and they're people I trust and I know they're going to give me the absolute truth.
yeah,
I say, does this make sense?
yeah, yeah,
That's
exactly. Yeah.
because my brain is connecting this time period, this character, those names, that history.
Yeah.
Does this make sense or does this sound like a madman's gibberish?
Yeah.
And they tell me, like I didn't get that from this part. I'm like, okay, well, I need to make that clearer. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I run some things to to Pete too, and he's
Sure.
always
Sure.
great.
Yeah.
He's always honest, without a doubt.
Pete seems like a pretty honest guy, and for all the right reasons. So yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, he's great to work with as a publisher. He's never sitting there going, you need to change this because this is what's going on in today's time. He's like, no, what's your vision? That is your
Yeah.
vision, and he'll give recommendations because he
Sure.
reads the stories too.
Yeah.
And he'd be
Yeah.
like, this is great. It'd be really interesting, hint, hint, if you kind of explored this part. I'm like, oh, you like that part? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, all right, well, for Pete to say it,
Yeah. Yeah.
that means he also sees value for the readers. You know what I mean? And what they're gravitating towards.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think if I'm not mistaken, he's owned Alterna. Is it 17 years?
It's around there, yeah.
Yeah.
Long
So I
time.
don't know like what year you're considered a veteran within the industry, but you know what I mean? Is it
It's
10 years? Is it 15? Is it 20? Like I'm not sure
a good
where.
question.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's very subjective probably, but
Yeah.
I would have to say if you owned your own comic company, if you lasted this long, there's
Oh, yeah.
definitely some veteranness
Oh,
that you
yeah.
could add to your name, right?
Yeah, yeah. He is a phenomenal
Yeah.
businessman. He knows this industry incredibly well. Um, he could see things coming like miles away, and he
Yeah.
warns us, "Get
Yeah.
ready. This is
Things
gonna."
are
And
gonna
I was
get
like,
tough.
"Wow, it really happened."
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
was like, "Okay, I don't know how you saw that." He's like an oracle.
Well, I think you're kind of the veteran on the team right now. What issue are you on? Is it 16, something like that?
We are 13 is
13.
being printed,
Gotcha.
but I just finished 14.
Hmm.
Christian Rossi is working on 15, 16.
Nice.
And we have Kier Covington working on 17 and 18. This is going to be the largest mini series in the
Really?
series. This is going to be
So
huge.
you normally do 3-part series, right? So if you look
Three
at the first
parts.
9 issues, or actually
Exactly.
11, right? They're all three
Yeah.
part, 3-part. So how many part series is this one that you're currently working on?
Double six.
Oh, 6. Wow.
This is going to be a 6-issue miniseries. And
Yeah.
I think this is going to be the most epic. I've been doing so much research because
Yeah.
I love history,
Yeah.
as some of my readers know. I
Sure.
teach art history,
Oh,
at,
nice.
at the university. So I love this stuff.
Yeah.
And all of the research and all those research papers, everything I had to do in school, everything. This is like an amalgam. All this knowledge I have and passion for this stuff is now really coming into this.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
new volume is going to be crazy.
Nice. Well, congratulations. It sounds amazing, man.
Thank you. I just can't wait. I gotta wait till
Yeah.
everything's done. That's the hard part now. The
Yeah.
excitement's there. It's like, nah, I gotta wait for everyone to read it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's get into character development because there are some very unique characters in Blood Realm. And I would
Hmm.
love for you to kind of share with everyone how you come up with these characters. Do you have a favorite? Because you have the
Mm.
first three-part series, then you get in the second three-part series, and there's a change in characters, and then some of those characters come back in the series after that. It'd be interesting to see how you come up with some of these characters, and do you have
Hmm.
a favorite out of all the characters that you
Yeah.
created in Blood
Ooh.
Realm?
Mm. It's a good question. Well, I'll tell you this. I make a conscious effort to make new characters almost every volume
Mm-hmm.
because I that keeps me on my toes.
Yep.
I want to challenge myself and come up with different perspectives because this is a whole big war. It's
Mm-hmm.
that's essentially what this is. It's this
Yeah.
war between these different races, different perspectives of that war. And I'm not afraid to kill characters because if I kill characters, that also allows me to make new ones,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So, and my favorite, oh boy, well, right now it's got to be Chiron Morvel. It
Yeah.
has to be
Yeah.
Chiron. Right now, he's my
Pretty
favorite.
dope.
Especially,
Definitely pretty dope.
oh, I'm glad.
He's a
I'm glad.
badass.
He is. He is. He's really cool.
Very
And
stoic, everything about him, man.
yes, exactly. And now that this new volume's entering and exploring his origin, I feel like I know him better than ever now. And it's just
Yeah.
something I can't wait to share with everyone. So I would say right now he's my favorite, but Olek is a close second. I do love Olek. He's a really cool, having the mage with the
Yep, yep.
staff. He's a great character.
The
And
sisters really trip me out, man.
yeah.
They kind of freak me out a little bit. I got the little EBGBs as I'm reading. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
man, that's a little nutty, man.
Yeah. 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 I wanted that feel because
You got
they
it.
had right. They have divine powers,
Yeah,
right? But we would assume it would be beautiful,
yeah,
but sometimes divine stuff, right, is like
yeah,
beyond what we can comprehend.
for sure.
So, of course, we're looking at these things and their powers are remarkable,
Yeah,
but it's also frightening to us at the same time because
for
we
sure.
can't pinpoint what they are.
Yeah, yeah, for
You
sure.
know what
For
I
sure.
mean?
Yeah,
That otherworldliness is what I
yeah,
wanted them to give that vibe to.
yeah.
So yeah, so that they were that. So that's one reason. That's an inspiration for those characters.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's awesome, man. So, as you're creating all these characters, what I would love to know, because you've created an entire universe,
Hmm.
or a world, I should probably say, because like you said, it is a story about a war, but
Right.
within that war, right, you've created this entire world. Does the world building come first, or do you create the
Mm,
characters and those characters are put into the world?
that's a good question. I would say when I first started, it was some characters. It was a conflict. The first
Yeah.
thing was a conflict. Get to point A to point B. Other people, the General Gorn is trying to get that heart. He wants to take over the world and everything
Yep.
like that. The sisters have to get there first before he does. So that was the conflict of the whole of the first volume.
Yeah.
And then what happened was once I had that and I started to sketch out the characters, I was like, okay, now what does the sandbox look like?
Mm, yeah.
Because if they're going to be making this long journey
Hmm.
across these lands, what do these lands look like? What is
Yeah.
the history to these lands? Because now that is a huge character
Yeah.
in of itself.
Hmm.
The world itself
For
needs
sure.
to be a character.
Yeah.
And then that's how that happened. And then the more I got involved into the story with these new characters, each volume, the world just the lands of Mordrin just slowly grew and grew and grew and grew. And
Yeah.
just naturally. So I didn't have everything planned out
Yeah.
first. It
Hmm.
just organically all the little pieces of the puzzle started to fill, and now Mordrin is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. And then as far as character development, since you are a professor at a
Mhm.
university teaching art history,
Yeah.
how much history is influencing the characters that you're developing within the world that you've created.
Tremendous, tremendous. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, history, just sometimes you read it, you're like, this is absolutely insane that you read about stuff that Alexander the Great did. You're just like, this can't be real. How can this
ruthless
be real?
at times, right?
Oh my goodness.
Incredible.
And it's amazing what people in the past accomplished. And, it's such a great well of inspiration.
Yeah.
So, and also my own inspiration and my own conflict and things I've went through in my life as well are poured into the characters.
Sure.
Every one of them is a piece of me.
Yeah.
My fears, my doubts, my joy, they're all in there too. It's almost like one giant therapy session. That's essentially what it is, right?
Well, hopefully it's creating like a positive effect, because when I read these, and I'm thinking, I don't know, I'm gonna go, there's a neighbor I don't like, and I'm getting a lot of visions on what I could do to that person, So hopefully it doesn't have the adverse effect that you think you're having,
No. It's working on me.
Okay, good. Well, I guess that's all that matters, right? That's all.
Yeah, exactly. It's true. And but you have to go there as a character. If you're going to make characters like this, I mean, as a creator, you have to get deep in there. You got to dig, especially you want to create characters that really resonate and connect with people in a different way, besides from how cool they look.
Yeah.
Because you could have a really cool looking character and you just love the way that character looks.
Yeah.
But if you want sometimes readers to feel something, you're going to get down there and you got to put yourself in those situations. You got to say, wow, how would I feel in that situation?
Yeah.
And you gotta really feel it. You gotta get that empathy going for your characters when they go through tragedy. And like I should feel when certain characters kick the bucket in Blood Realm so far. I should feel upset.
Yeah.
Because if I don't feel upset, the reader's not going to feel upset.
Exactly.
They need to feel that loss because I feel a loss.
Yeah.
It's important.
And I wonder what your feeling is in a story where it really is a warfare, right? There has to be stakes.
Has to be.
And if your characters aren't vulnerable to what's taking place, right, I'm not sure that the buy-in can be as strong to the story. Right. And I don't know what your feeling is, right? I mean, we've seen Superman die. We've seen a lot of people die. Oh,
yeah.
Right? But there's that saying in comics that no one really ever dies. Right? Because in reality, I mean, let's face it, you're not going to take an 85-year-old character and just be done with him and move on.
No.
Right? It's not going to happen, right?
Especially because he's a brand.
It's a brand. Exactly.
At this point, he's a brand. It's like killing Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. It's not going to happen, man. It's not going to happen. Plus, there's a lot of dollar bills attached to those characters, right?
100%. 100%.
But in a story like this, what I love about it is there is real stakes. And as you're reading, right, and as you're seeing things start to take place, you start to wonder, will this character make it through this 3-part series, right? Exactly. And how important is that to your story, do you think?
Oh, it's incredibly important. It's incredibly important because then I feel like because like you can bring back a character, it is possible, but because it is a world of magic, but it needs to be believable in the rules of the world.
Yeah.
That's the problem. So many rules are broken in a lot of the franchises that we grew up with that it doesn't feel real anymore. And as crazy as that sounds, I don't care. Well, they were spaceships. How could it feel real? No, it felt real.
Yeah.
It felt real. But now when you break the rules of that universe,
right,
now you reminded me that this is not real.
Yeah.
And now I'm not invested anymore.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. So with Blood Realm, there needs to be stakes. And there are rules that even I have to abide by.
Yeah.
Because if I break my own rules, the readers, they're going to be like, wow, really? Come on. We're so invested in this. We know how this thing works. You mean to tell me you forgot or you're not that interested to pay attention of how the rules you made?
Yeah. No,
it's important.
Yeah.
It's important.
Mm-hmm. Now, out of the current creators at Alterna, I feel like you and Tyler have some similarities in the stories that you're trying to tell. Completely different stories, don't get me wrong. But it's world building, it's character development, it's all these different things. And then you have Wes and Brian, that have a core of their story that has two characters that will always stay the same.
Yes.
If that makes
Good
sense, right?
point.
You have
Oh,
Unit
sure.
44,
Yeah.
you have Wolf and Batsy, right? And
Yeah.
so, I mean, that's the core of the story. They go away, the story goes away, right?
Sure. Yes.
How often do you speak to Tyler because you do have some similarities in how you have to develop the world, or do you try and stay away from that just so that you don't take in something that maybe is part of that world? Because we're human, right? And when you start to hear things,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I don't know if that takes place at all within Alterna.
Not really. I mean,
Yeah,
we talk, but we also are influenced by the same stuff. We love history,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, for
We're
sure.
fascinated by religion as well. We love
Yeah,
studying all that stuff. We love
yeah.
studying philosophy.
Hmm.
So there's bound to be some similarities in that sense.
Yeah.
And we also like similar artists too. So, we love European art, and we love
Yeah,
European comic art.
yeah,
So, but yeah, but we never really sat down and broke down what we were going to do for our stories,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, in that sense. But no, we're influenced by the same thing, and I
That's
guess that's a
awesome.
testament to all of that.
For sure. I mean, both have very successful series going on. So yeah, I would definitely say so. Definitely
Yeah.
say so. Yeah. That's awesome, man. Wow. So okay, you have about 12 or 13 issues that someone can buy right now.
Yes. Right
Yeah.
now.
Right.
Yeah.
And so having those 12 or 13 issues, how difficult is it as you're writing that story, especially if you have a main character that maybe is in issue 13 and he started in issue 1?
Oh
Because
yeah.
I could see this being an issue because, again, we're all human. You want to make sure that whatever you're doing with that character aligns with how that character is operated throughout the entire series.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
how often do you have to go back to like issues 1 through 3 just to make sure that whatever you're doing in 13 makes a lot of sense? And it,
Oh
like, you know
yeah.
what I mean? He can't pull out a bazooka because that would be weird, right?
It
Now,
would
that
be
would be an
cool.
easy one to catch, but are there little
Right.
things that you have to go back in and just say, okay, just so I remember exactly what happened in that first 3-part series? If I'm going to bring it up in this series, I want to make sure that I get the verbiage correct so I don't get called out by one of my fans going, that never happened in
Mhm.
that first series. You know what I mean?
All the time.
All the time,
All the
man.
time. That's the answer. The answer is
Yeah.
all the time. I have reader copies that
Okay.
are beaten to heck, and they're always on my desk. And
Yep.
I'd be
Yep.
like, okay, let me do this and that and this and that. And I was like, wait a minute, hold on, Rob. Go back because I don't think that may be a little bit of a paradox there, a
Yeah.
time paradox. We got to open up. Okay, I can't do that because we
Yeah.
did something like this. Yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Uh, Especially with a universe this big. I have like the periods and the ages written out
Okay.
chronologically of what took place,
Hmm.
who died, you know, what happened here in the environment. Because you can't
Yeah.
just suddenly like say something happened that changed the environment or the landscape. And
Hmm.
now when they go back, that's not there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't do that. So no, it's always going back to the
Yeah.
previous issues to remind myself of the crazy history.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have your reader issues, but you also, it sounds like you've created some sort of a map that you could go back and you could kind of, yeah, that
Yes.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Yeah. I always
I have
wondered that, especially as you get into issues like 1920. I mean, at
oh yeah.
Alterna, if you have, 17 issues, that's almost 4 years, right? Probably of work that you've done. You come out with 4 issues a year, possibly.
Yeah, I was published, was it 2018,
Oh,
January
wow.
2018?
Yeah.
How many years? I don't even, what is that?
It's a lot. You're doing pretty good, my friend. You're doing pretty good. 5 years, 5.5 years, somewhere around.
Five. Wow, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's awesome, man. Well, congratulations. That's dope, man.
Thank you. I
That's
love
so
it. I
awesome.
love it. That's
Yeah,
the thing, with comics. That's why
yeah,
I even have I teach a comic class too. I tell the students, they're like, you got to love this.
yeah,
Have to love this. No, you
yeah,
can't just like it. You
yeah,
gotta love this. If you want to make comics, you gotta love it
yeah.
because there are multiple jobs in this
Hmm.
one thing. You're
Yeah,
the director, you're the writer, you're the screenwriter, you're the costume designer, you're the actor when you draw their faces, you're the set designer,
yeah,
you're everything. You're doing all of this. You have to love it. You
yeah,
got to have fun. But that's the thing, because I'm having a blast. And
yeah,
sometimes there's some moments where I'm like, oh man, I'm just not feeling it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's normal. But then then you're sitting there and you're like, well, maybe if I'm not feeling it, maybe I gotta change the direction. And
Yeah.
then that one little change suddenly is like, oh wow, I'm 14 again and I'm
Yeah.
ready to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Now,
gotta
now
have fun.
because, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jerome.
No, you gotta have fun.
You got to have fun. I mean, let's be honest, right? I don't know too many multimillionaires that are in the comic book industry, right? And I don't care if you're published by an independent publisher or some of the
Right.
big ones, right? I mean, the reality is no one's gotten super rich except for a few, right? You got your McFarlanes,
Sure.
your Mark Sylvesters,
Right.
maybe Mark Wade or some of those guys that have been in for a
Uh-huh.
long time and made a name. But this is really a passion, I think, industry, and
Yeah.
people that are in it because they love the comic, the different genres, everything about comics, right? And
Yeah.
man, that's why I love independent comic creators, and that's why I spend most of my time in the indie. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, I love DC, I love
Oh,
Marvel,
sure.
but I prefer indie comics because I think some of the most unique and most enjoyable stories are being told
Exactly. Yeah.
on the indie side of it. And when you meet these indie creators like yourself, most of them are extremely passionate about what they're doing, and that's the
Hmm.
driving force as to why they continue to do it. But they
That's
all
right.
have day jobs, right? They all work
Yeah,
something else for the most part,
that's right.
and
That's
you have
right.
to do it.
Yeah, you have to. I have to. There's something that
Yeah,
I can't describe it.
yeah,
I wish I could put it to words other than
yeah,
just saying it's like a calling, but it
yeah.
feels like that. It feels like some kind of, I can't help it. It's what it is. It's like a calling. I have to do this. I love this so much. Of course, I'm working very hard to make good money from it without a shadow of a
100%.
doubt,
Yeah, yeah,
but I need to do this. I need to tell this story. I need to make Blood Realm.
yeah,
And as long as there's just, even if there's just a handful of people, I would need to do this.
yeah,
I would
yeah.
need to.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Now, because you spend so much time in Blood Realm, and like you said, there's going to be days where you're just flat. You're just not feeling
Yeah.
it that day, right?
Yep.
Do you have other creations, other stories that you're doing on the side where you could kind of go back to, and maybe one day it'll be published down the road? But this
Hmm.
is kind of your escape
Hmm.
from Blood Realm, where you could start to tell maybe a different story that's completely different, and
Oh,
it keeps you
sure.
fresh. And oh, that's awesome. Yeah,
Oh, sure. Without
yeah,
a doubt. Yeah. I have a pulp. I love the pulps. I love
yeah,
the shadow. I love the phantom. I love all that stuff.
yeah.
And I used to read 1930s pulp magazines and
Nice.
amazing stories. I
Yeah,
have reprints of them. I love the
that's so
black and
cool.
white illustrations from
Yeah,
those. I love
yeah.
that stuff. So I have a pulp novel that I wrote
Oh,
and
how
I
cool.
over the years. Yeah, it's like
And it's
World War
published
II.
already, or just kind of
No,
your
no.
own little thing that you have?
Eventually, maybe I'll crowdfund and we'll make it like an original pulp novel.
Yeah, that'd
We
be
could
cool.
print it. I don't know. We'll figure it
Yeah,
out when the time's right.
yeah,
But sometimes, I'm like, I've been in the lands of Mordrin for a long time. I need to go on a vacation.
yeah,
So let me have some World War II zombies. There we
yeah,
go.
yeah. Exactly,
That's it.
exactly.
That's so yeah. So there are projects that I pop in and out of,
Yeah,
and when
yeah.
I just want a mental break
Hmm.
from this bigger world.
Yeah, which continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger too, right? With every
Oh,
issue.
sure. That's the thing. You're adding more and more layers to this.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but I have an ending. I have an ending set.
Okay.
I have a
Yeah,
so it's not like this is like where are we going? It's not lost, like the
yeah,
show
yeah,
Lost. Like,
yeah, yeah,
okay, where are we going?
yeah.
Uh, I have a very clear ending. So
Okay.
it's just making the ride that much more enjoyable toward it.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Once you get to that point where you've done whatever issue it is and it does come to an end,
Hmm.
because you have a passion for comics and you love what you're doing, do you have something else that you're already thinking about that you want to do as kind of stage two of Geronimo
Mm.
comics, or you're not there yet?
I have something. There's
Yep, awesome.
something that slowly I've been working on here and there as a little
Yeah, yeah,
break, and that's been slowly getting bigger and bigger.
very good.
But yeah, I can't even. It's crazy. I know there's going to be an end to Blood Room eventually, but it's hard for me to even imagine
Yeah, yeah,
it. You know what I mean? But we'll see how many issues it takes to get there. Who knows,
yeah, yeah.
40 or 50?
Yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, it seems like, I certainly follow Alterna Comics, and then I connect with Pete quite a bit, and it seems like all the Indiegogos for the different offerings, whether it's the August offering or whatever, it
yeah,
seems like they very easily hit their marks, which
right.
means people are invested. So I don't think
Yeah,
it's a rush for you to get to the end anytime soon. It seems
that's
like
true.
people are enjoying it, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. As much as sometimes there's days I'm like, I gotta just end this thing, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, what are you crazy? Because I talk to myself. That's how it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Well, just so I have 4 kids, and there's a lot of times where I want to end one of
Ah.
them, but you love them, right? So you don't do it. It's a thought that comes by. You keep it to yourself because it'd be crazy if you release that. But this right here is a baby.
Brilliant.
This is your
It
baby, right?
is.
And so
It is a
I'm
baby.
sure there's days where you're like, man, I'd like to slap the heck out of that thing, but you don't do it, right? That's the difference between being
That's
sane
great.
and insane, right? Is you keep it here and you don't act out on it,
You're 1,000% correct.
right?
Exactly. Well said. Well
Yeah,
said.
yeah, that's awesome.
Mhm.
So Geronimo, because of the genre that you're passionate about, and you kind of answered this a little bit. So if you've already answered it, great. But is
Mhm.
there a comic creator that you followed that
Mhm.
you're like, man, I can't get enough of this writer because
Mhm.
of what their success within the genre that I love, this horror slash fantasy,
Mhm.
or maybe it's outside of comics, and maybe it's just another author that has done novels on this genre
Mhm.
that you have followed for a very long time. I mean, does that exist, or is it really a lot of the older arts that are really driving a lot of the passion that you have around this?
I'll say I could easily say in comics,
Mm-hmm.
it's Jodorowsky.
Yodarski,
It's
okay, yep.
yeah, it's Meta Barons
Mm-hmm.
that, and then he has a couple. I have a couple of others. I forgot the other names.
Yeah,
Megalex, I think was another one. I just love his stuff. It's just
really.
so out there and crazy.
I'm not
And
familiar, so you're gonna have to, after this, send me a note of
sure,
the author so I can
Meta
pick one up.
Meta Barons is probably arguably my favorite of all time.
Really? I'll have to check
Yeah,
that out. Yeah.
it's incredible. And even his westerns are just wild and crazy.
That's awesome.
It's nutty writing, and I love it. It's just so out there, and
Yeah, yeah.
his concepts, particularly with Meta Barons, is so heavy and has that Greek tragedy elements of it. It's just I was floored when I first read that,
That's
and
awesome.
yeah, that's definitely
Yeah.
comic book writer, where I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, gotta get it, gotta
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
So not many,
Yeah.
but that's the one where I'm like, I gotta
Yeah.
read what he's doing
That's
next.
awesome, man. That's awesome. All right. So you're doing the writing, you're doing the art, you're doing
Mhm.
the lettering, like you're doing it all, right?
Right.
What is your least favorite out of what you do as far as getting a comic completed?
Probably my least favorite is the coloring.
The coloring, yeah, yeah.
It takes a while.
Does
That
it?
can it's a lot. And depending how detailed I made an image, sometimes I'm cursing myself, going, why did you have to put all this detail? Now you got to color and you got to put a highlight on every little bulbous thing coming out of this guy's back. So yeah, no, that
The
for
coloring.
me personally, because
Yeah, yeah,
I'm meticulous,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know. I know that about myself. So I need to, even if it's something so crazy that when you zoom in on Photoshop, you would
yeah,
see it, but no one else would see it. I'm that way where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna know. And it's terrible.
yeah, yeah.
Coloring for me.
Coloring is the least favorite. And then what's your most favorite? Is it the art? Is it the writing and the storytelling? What is your favorite if you had to
Mm.
pick one thing?
Oh, it's two stages.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite stage is the birth of the idea and the research.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just love it. Those are the days where I have headphones and I'm going for long walks on trails and I'm just imagining all these scenarios, imagining the universe, getting really pumped up, thinking, and I have a little notebook in my hand as I'm walking,
Yeah.
taking down notes, and love that. Absolutely love that period. And that's
Awesome.
when the research happens, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
have to draw anything yet.
Yeah, exactly.
And then The drawing is also great because then you
Yeah.
start to see it coming to life.
Yeah.
And I love the lettering. The lettering is a lot of fun because that's when the words, that's when you see everything come together. It's
Yeah.
like you did all of those stages and now the words come and then you see that beautiful marriage between image and text. And then I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's a comic.
Yeah.
Yes, we
That's all.
made a comic. So that is in terms of those specific things, I would say
Yeah.
that part because that's when all of a sudden that like the method to the madness proves that something comes out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. There is a method to this and it works.
For sure, for sure. Do you have a favorite character you love drawing?
Hmm. I'm gonna have to say Chiron again. I guess
Yeah.
I'm just
So dope, man. I agree.
I just think he's a knight with a flaming sword.
Yeah.
You know, he's influenced by the Knights Templar, you know, his
Yeah.
design. It's just he's like 7 foot. I mean, he's got the build of Conan the Barbarian. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't, how could I, you know? I would have to say Chiron.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's just a blast, and it's cool because we don't have many human characters to
Yeah.
root for in Blood Realm because
Yeah.
I purposely chose a period in the story where mankind is basically almost wiped out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's in
You
bad
know,
shape. Yep.
yeah, and I think that's fun in a weird way because and unique to the reader
Yeah.
because we're so used to seeing the humans as the main characters
Yeah.
and working their way to winning everything, like
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, but which is fine,
Yeah.
I love Lord of the Rings. I mean, if you
Yeah.
want to talk about a book that greatly influenced me, I call
Yeah.
him Uncle Tolkien because
Yeah.
Uncle
Yeah.
Tolkien feels like an uncle. It's the
Yeah.
greatest stories for me. The Hobbit, as a
Yeah.
kid, reading that was unbelievable.
For sure. For
And
sure.
seeing human beings wiped out
Yeah.
at the start of your story where they're in bad shape and you're following these other races that are taking over,
Yeah.
I find that to be a really great pull.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is different. You
Yeah.
know, that there's stakes even for the human race.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I agree. I think in issue 1 or 2 or 3, it's in that first series. Um, the ship is taking off, and he's with those two robots, and he jumps out on the top.
Yes.
The sword lights up, and he goes like that. And I can't
Yeah.
remember the name of those characters where it's
The
just
Shrive.
yeah, he
Yeah.
just goes right through the middle of one of them. Yeah, that was pretty
Yeah.
dope, man. That was pretty dope. Yeah.
Yeah. They got to show the power of Chiron there.
Yeah, you definitely see that power. I mean, he didn't have to
Nice.
touch him, right? That was from a distance. It was just the
That's
light
it.
from the sword took care of
Exactly. It's like,
everything, right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Now, as a non-human creature, what's been the most fun to draw? Because I mean, just in the first 10 issues, there's some
Yeah.
crazy creature type things
Hmm.
that you've been able to create. What's
Sure.
the one in the first series, or maybe it's the second series where it's like a snail and he comes out?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's so that's called the Unbridled one.
The unbridled one, yes.
Yeah.
That kind of freaked me out too, to be quite honest. I'm like, what the hell am I looking at, dude?
He just comes out like that. He's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I would say my favorite is it's drawing the Satrians, the goat race,
Oh, the goat race. Yeah,
the,
that's
the
later on. But
humanoid
yeah.
goats. I
Yes.
love drawing those guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Love drawing them. They're so much fun. Uh, yeah, I would have to say that race. I love drawing those guys.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome, man. All right, Mr. Geronimo. As far as next issues, right? You said issue 13 or 14's next coming out.
13 is going to the printer.
Okay. And
And then,
what
yep,
Indiegogo will that be part of? Because I assume it'll be part of a group that
that was already part of the August.
oh, the
So,
August one. Okay, yep, I got that one.
yes.
I'll get that one.
So
Yeah.
that that is on its way to the printer. And then what I'm going to do in April,
Okay.
issues 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18.
You're
The
gonna do
whole
5 in one?
in 5-in-1. This way you
Wow.
get a giant stack of Blood
Yes.
Realm. You don't
Yeah.
have to wait so long, and then that's it. You're just going to get this package in the mail that's going to be 5 issues. That's what
That's
I want to do for everybody. I think that's going to be awesome because then you just be
yeah.
like, wow, I got this. Because not one issue, you got 5 issues of Blood Realm.
That's
I mean,
huge,
let's
man.
go, right? You know what I
Is
mean?
that the most any creator has done at one time during one of those events?
I think, well, it's going to be my own. It's going
Oh,
to be
it's your
my own.
own. Oh,
That's what I'm going to
gotcha.
do. And then he's going to publish it,
Yeah.
So
Nice. A little Blood Realm Indiegogo coming.
yeah, I think that'll be great. And we could
Yeah,
do
for
some
sure.
really cool merchandise, we
Yeah.
can work things out. I would love to do we're working on doing a little mini figure, very small,
Oh, that would be dope.
of just Chiron with his sword like this, just about
Yeah.
3-4 inches.
Got to give me
Nothing
one of those,
crazy.
man. Yep.
Yeah. And little statue, you know.
Yeah. I mean, if you haven't noticed, I'm a fan of
I
figures.
see.
One of my favorite ones, and maybe it'll look a little bit like this. I don't know if you're a Kanto fan.
Anto.
Kanto. Yeah.
Whoa, what is that?
Yeah, one of my favorite comics. It's just a fantasy comic. It's written by David Booher, and he created it as well. But it's called Kanto, and
What
it's
year?
fun. I mean, it's still. I mean, he does series too, so he'll do like a 3-part series, a 4-part series. But yeah, I got this at San Diego Comic-Con this year. This is one
Oh,
of
it's
the little
beautiful.
statues that he came out with. But I could see something very similar
It's
to
exactly
that
like that.
with Chiron. Yeah, that would be dope, man, to have a
Oh,
Chiron
good.
figure, man.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly the size.
Yeah. No, it'd be awesome. Yeah, he's probably about an inch and a half, maybe.
Oh, he's only an inch.
Yeah, about an inch and a half,
Holy
maybe
smoke. Oh, so
two inches.
he would be
Yeah.
3. Chiron would be 3.
I mean, he's 7 foot tall, man. So he's got to be taller than Kanto. He can't be
Yeah,
smaller than
he
Kanto.
better be.
Come on, Jerome, call me, man. I'll let you know what size to do it, man, just so it fits within my world that I've created.
Yeah, I see that.
Because that's the most important thing to you right now is
Of
fitting
course.
my statues.
I'm happy to do it.
I met this guy one time and he's telling me how to do my statue, man. Well, that's
Oh,
exciting, man.
man.
So that will be part of that.
Yeah,
Um,
April.
wow, I
In
just got
April.
chills,
So
man. That's dope.
I'm going to be showing more artwork.
Yeah,
That's going to be it's going to be packed with
yeah,
content. I'm even overwhelmed by the amount of content, but it's probably going to be the most like this could be its own thing. Like
yeah,
that's how epic this story
yeah.
is going to be. And
That's
it's
dope.
not just an origin for Chiron. It's going to be the other characters that he meets,
Mm.
and we're going to see the mages in power
Hmm.
because we've heard about the mages in power. We
Right,
heard how they were the ones who really gave Mordrin civilization. They're the first
right.
civilization. But then we're going to see how the humans came into power.
Mm.
It's a lot of powerful storytelling, and I'm like
Yeah,
I said, tons of research and timeless themes from Greek tragedy and Shakespearean themes,
yeah.
biblical themes. It's going to be a doozy.
That's super exciting, man. And it
Yeah,
sounds awesome, man. I can't wait
can't
for
wait.
that.
Me
Um,
neither.
yeah, I'll be one of the first ones signing up for that one, man. I gotta get my
Thank you,
hands on
brother. I
that, man.
appreciate it.
Oh, for sure, man. I tell you, man. Again, let me see. So I have up to issue 10, so I gotta get 11 and 12. But I mean, where can you find a
Uh,
$2.50 comic book, man?
I
You
know.
know what I mean? It just
I
blows me
know.
away, and that's why I really love Alterna, man. You're getting high quality
Ooh,
stuff.
look at that
Yeah,
stack.
look at that, man. I feel like I playing poker or something, man. But
That's
yeah, man.
beautiful.
So beautiful, man. But yeah, I mean, where can you get stories like this, art like this for that kind of price point? I mean,
Of course.
you look at
Can't.
DC and Marvel, I think most of the prices have gone up to like
Oh, yeah.
4.99.
Oh,
And then
it's
they
crazy.
keep coming out with one of these like it's a
Hmm.
larger volume special edition one shot and they're 9.99.
Hmm.
You're like,
Yeah,
it's
you gotta be
45
kidding me.
pages. So yeah, it is a few more pages, but I mean,
Come on.
how are fans affording this? And that's why I tell people get on to Alterna Comics website and check out what they're putting out there because man, if you want affordable comic books
Hmm.
with amazing stories, amazing art, that's what I told Pete, man. I have so much respect that he's been able to find a way to keep the cost down. And I'm getting
Yeah.
close to 50,
Hmm.
Geronimo. Um, I touch one of these comic books, I go back to the late 80s, early
There you go.
90s immediately.
There you
Touching
go.
that paper, that newspaper, that newsprint, I get chills, man. It makes me feel
Yes.
good. It makes this nostalgia just kind of covers me.
Yeah.
And then you
Feels
get
like home.
the stories. Yeah, exactly.
Feels like home. And
Yeah.
honestly, it takes me even back to its even deeper origins of the pulps,
Yes. Yeah.
because that's what it was meant to be.
Yeah.
It was meant to be we got to a point where we're almost ashamed of its roots, which
Yeah. It is.
boggled my mind.
Yeah. nah.
No. The brutes are in that literal rooty paper,
It's
that pulpy paper. It's in those roots,
absolutely
man. No,
100%, man.
and that's why I wanted Pete to publish it when he told me he's doing this newsprint thing. That was
Yeah.
so many years ago, 6 years ago. I was like, wow. I was like, so Blood Realm would be on newsprint?
Yeah.
I couldn't fathom it. I was like,
Yeah.
well, and he was the only one out of all the people I sent it to, because I sent it
Yeah.
to other indie publishers. He
Yeah.
said, you're going to tell more stories in this universe, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you want more? And he was like, oh, well, yeah, you're going to
100%.
tell more. You can tell more in this universe. And I was like, I certainly can. I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
that's it. I like this guy. The only one who asked out of all those publishers.
That's
He's the one
awesome.
who asked.
That's awesome, man.
But he
That's
wanted
awesome.
more of that world. And now here we are, if it wasn't
Here
for
we
that.
are. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's so cool, man. Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. Actually, when I was speaking with Brian, that same excitement you had about the newsprint he had too, because I very similar to you, right? He grew up on horror comics, loved
Yes.
that whole realm. And he said the newsprint was the selling factor
Oh,
because
yeah.
of all the old school, Tales of the Crypt, those kind of things that
Mm-hmm.
he grew up on, right? That newsprint was a big part of that back in the
Huge.
50s and 60s. And so, yeah, he was completely sold. And I'm completely sold as a fan because it just brings so much joy being able to touch a comic book like that.
It's
And,
great.
I spend a lot of money on comic books every week. My wife would tell you that. And to be able to say, look, honey, these are only $250, $3, man.
There you go. There you
It's awesome,
go.
man. It's
Can't
awesome.
say no to that.
Can't say no to that, Geronimo. Brother, man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. What else can we cover that we haven't covered already that you're doing that you want fans of yours to know what's going on?
Oh, sure. Check out my YouTube channel,
Yep.
Geronimo Draws. I am
Yeah.
doing draw streams, daily draw streams. I'm trying to do them once a day, and I draw sketch cards. I draw
Yeah.
all commissions. All commissions are drawn live on the channel, so you have that documented for yourself. If you ever want to see, hey, look, this guy drew it, and here's proof, and he
Yeah.
did it. Have that there.
Yeah.
And art is for sale too. So during the
Yeah.
draw stream, if you like it, I always put up a secret perk link on Indiegogo so you can get that original artwork.
Nice.
So that's been a blast. And I talk about everything. It's almost like a podcast, because as I'm drawing, I talk about whatever figure in history I'm fascinated by. I talk about the best pizza toppings or the best pasta dishes. We talk a lot about food. For some reason,
Yeah,
food
yeah.
comes up a lot on the Geronimo draw streams. But we have a great group, and
Yeah.
I'm really trying to build that up now more than ever. So if you could check that out, I would really appreciate it. And also check out Blood Realm if you haven't, if you're hearing about this for the first time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, I would tell you, if you are listening to this and you haven't read Blood Realm, you're making a huge mistake. Amazing story. The world that's been created is absolutely second to none. And in fact, I went ahead and purchased a couple. There's issue one and that's issue 1 and 2. And I will be
Yeah.
so this will go live. We're doing it right now, pre-recorded. This will go up on our YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts this Saturday. And to celebrate this going, I will be giving away this. So if you're following us on TikTok
Wow.
and or Instagram, we'll go ahead and give issues 1 and 2 away. I might even throw in issue 3 just so you get that first series, so that way you could finish it. But yeah, just all my followers, and I'll make sure I do a TikTok and an Instagram stream of this too. But let's go ahead and give this away, Geronimo. I want people to read
Wow.
it so they could talk about it too, because it is awesome. And I did this with Unit 44. I did it with Wolf and Batsy. It's fun,
That's
man.
incredible.
Yeah, and then we'll get this out there, and it makes it easier because it's a lot less expensive for me to do this because you guys have amazing cost structure for fans to really dive in, man. And that's why I'm all in on it, Alterna, because it's just such an amazing publisher. And you guys just do things right. So congratulations on all your success, Geronimo.
Brother.
And man, if you ever want to come back on, we'd love to have you on, especially as we get closer to that awesome Indiegogo that you're going to do near April. Hopefully and maybe you could kind of just hold up Chiron for us and let us know what it looks like so that
That would
people
be
know what
great.
they're getting when they're doing it, man.
Heck
That would be
yeah.
awesome. Remember, 3 inches, he's 7 foot tall, man. He can't be smaller than Kanto. Kanto's like 3 feet tall, brother. So
Yeah, no, we got to work on that for sure. Got to get that height accuracy down.
exactly, man. Exactly. But yeah, no,
Amazing.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on, man.
Oh,
I've
of
watched you
course.
all the time on the Alterna site and all of those little things that you guys do to
Hmm.
get your art out there. And you seem
Sure.
like such a humble, awesome human being, man. And I was like, dude,
Thank
I
you,
gotta get
man.
this guy on, man. And so I'm glad that I did, and I hope this isn't our last time, my friend.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. You will hear from me when I promise you, when we get closer to promoting that thing for the next
Yeah.
volume, we'll talk about it.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, Mr. Geronimo, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. And if there's
Same to you.
anything we could do at World at War Comics for you, please let us know, my friend.
Ah, will do, brother. Thank you.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you again.